This is Sahavas for everyone. I'm Laurent Weichberger. It's Wednesday, July 16th, 2025. Mona, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
It's very early in the morning in India.
Yeah, it's 4:30 a.m. Good morning.
Did you set an alarm to wake up?
No, I just clocked it.
You're amazing. Were you asleep and then you woke up?
Yep.
Wow. Okay. Great to have you on the show.
Yeah, I'm so excited because we'd spoken about this, I think, when
Yeah.
we met last, and I'm
Yeah.
happy to see you in this space.
Okay. Well, I'm going to share my screen. Tell me if you can see what I'm sharing. Can you see that? So this
Yep.
this is Sahavas for everyone, and it's control through love is the 12 ways of realizing me. Way 7 is control through love. So that's um, when your love for me drives away your lust for the things of the senses, then you realize me. So that's way number 7 of 12 ways of realizing me. When your love for me drives away your lust for the things of the senses, then you realize me. And then I added an extra slide here, which is one of my favorite quotes of Baba of all time. It's keep your mind quiet, steady, and firm. Do not submit to desires, but try to control them. One who cannot restrain his tongue cannot restrain his mind. One who cannot restrain his mind cannot restrain his action. One who cannot restrain his actions cannot restrain himself. And one who cannot restrain himself cannot attain his real infinite self. Isn't that a beautiful quote?
Ah, it's so beautiful.
I'll do it one more time. Keep your mind quiet, steady, and firm. Do not submit to desires, but try to control them. One who cannot restrain his tongue cannot restrain his mind. One who cannot restrain his mind cannot restrain his action. One who cannot restrain his actions cannot restrain himself. And one who cannot restrain himself cannot attain his real infinite self. Avatar Meher Baba. That's from Life at its Best, page 26. So I wanted to bring that up as kind of the starting point, not the ending point, the starting point of the conversation. I see Ben and Daniel are on also. Welcome, Ben and Daniel. Were you able to hear the two quotes, or should I do that again?
I don't think I heard the first one, but I heard the second one. I read it on Facebook today too, as well. Thank you.
Awesome, great. And Daniel Sumi, did you hear the quotes?
Yeah, I heard them. I'm just at work, so I won't be able to participate so much
Okay,
today.
okay, no problem. And Ben and Daniel, we have Mona from Mumbai calling in. It's 4:30 in the morning for her.
Beautiful. Jay Baba.
Yeah, Jay Baba.
Jai Baba.
So I know Mona, you're sleepy because it's 4:30 in the morning. But what do we think and feel about this quotes about control through love? The first one, Ben, I'll read it again for you. Is when your love for me drives away your lust for the things of the senses, then you realize me. When your love for me drives away your lust for the things of the senses, then you realize me. I have some thoughts, but I'd love to hear from other people first.
I think it's really beautiful. Just every word resonates. And it's like when you're 100% truly in love with Baba, everything else drops. And that's so true, right? Yeah. And it's beautifully put. Thank you.
Yeah. The one who I met who lived that perfectly, I only met one person in my life who I felt ever lived up to that completely and totally. And that was Mara, Baba's beloved. She lived the life of control through love, of her love for Baba. I'll read it one more time. When your love for me drives away your lust for the things of the senses, then you realize me. Her love for Baba was so strong that it pushed away her lust for the things of the senses. And what are the things of the senses and what is lust? Baba said that love is wanting the happiness of another, and lust is wanting happiness for oneself. So the lust of the senses, the things of the senses, means what we see that makes us happy, what we hear that makes us happy, what we smell that makes us happy, what we taste that makes us happy, what we feel through touch, whether we're being touched or we're touching another, that makes us happy. These things that we lust after, right, could be something that we want to drink or eat, or something that some sexual or sensual activity, or even what we're looking at or what we're hearing, um, what we're smelling. All these things pull on the senses in a way that can be like Maya, like it becomes more important than Baba even. So I believe what Baba's saying is that at least part of the spiritual path is to turn our back on the things of the senses and turn towards Baba in the case of when we're not with him in the body, Baba within. So it's a turning. And I practice that. It's not easy. I still lust after the things of the senses, but I'm practicing. It's like Baba doesn't expect perfection. He expects practice, I believe. Anybody want to comment on that?
I would like to say too that the things of the senses are so small. Um, like for instance, the eyes. We science the electromagnetic spectrums of light that are known through scientific equipment, infrared, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, there's so many. Our eyes, even though they're one of the greatest video cameras known to man, are still only perceiving about 0.0035% of the electromagnetic spectrum. So there's 99.9965% that we actually know about through scientific equipment that we're not perceiving with our eyes. And I like that because it helps, it's humbling because I realize that if I'm relying on the senses, then I'm pretty much almost completely blind. And if I believe Baba is everything and that Baba is life itself and that Baba is God and that Baba is me ultimately, then the sense pleasures don't quite have the same appeal. If somebody, especially to the mind who wants more, um, I'd rather have 99.9965% or 100% than a little tiny sliver. Also, this other quote, well, we'll get to that in a minute, I guess. But yeah, that's what I think about that.
Now the control, all the different types of control. Do you want to hear that again?
Sure, the tongue and the mind and the
Yeah.
action. Yeah.
Keep your mind quiet, steady, and firm. Do not submit to desires, but try to control them. One who cannot restrain his tongue cannot restrain his mind. One who cannot restrain his mind cannot restrain his action. One who cannot restrain his actions cannot restrain himself. And one who cannot restrain himself cannot attain his real infinite self. That's Mayor Baba in Life at Its Best, page 26.
I really love that. And I needed to hear that. If I may I comment?
Yeah, yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I, last night I spent all day working and then my wife actually, I've said this before in here because it's been going on for quite some time. She's actually at the Heartland Center right now there because she can't breathe in our house. And that's about an hour from our house in Prague, Oklahoma. I'm in Tulsa. And she, so I'm kind of doing double parent duty here. I took 15 minutes to myself last night. Long story short, sat down to have my little 15 minutes of peace before bed, and then one of my children destroyed his new VR, or at least punched his hand in the controller into the fish tank. This is the third one he's had now, and like because of this type of thing, and I just lost it, you know. And then my refrigerator's breaking, and we have this home warranty company, and I called them in May 15th. I called it, and it's still not fixed. 2 months later, you know, and I kind of lost it, and
So is this about controlling the tongue?
yes, yes, it's totally about this because I feel like what Baba is gently and firmly showing us is the mechanics of poise, kind of from the inside out, um, and the flow is very precise, right? It's tongue to mind, mind to action.
Bob was very clear on the flow there.
Yeah, action to self and self to realization, right? So, um, and I think that first link, restraining the tongue, feels so relevant when you're dealing with overwhelming situations because, you know, Baba knew how quickly these words can become waves, you know, ripples on the frozen lake, so to speak. Um, you know, that's another one of the ways of realizing him is the whole frozen lake thing we talked about. Um, but he, you know, he never said to suppress, I don't think. It's about like gently restraining and sort of redirecting and remembering to him.
Yeah,
Remembering, yeah,
yeah, that's a tricky one, right? That word suppress or repress or whatever you want to call that.
right.
Rumi said something interesting. He said, "The words you speak become the house that you live in."
Mm.
I thought that was beautiful too, because it's like whatever, here's my experience of it. Whatever I say that somebody else hears, I'm now living in that in some way. Whether like they might have agreed to it, maybe they don't agree to it, but I'm still living with what came out of my mouth.
Yeah, and we're on this path of, I think, inner mastery born of love and remembrance. And when we say things, we reinforce thoughts, and thoughts are like I've been thinking a lot about this lately too, like journal a lot and writing about the prism versus the prison. And there's these thoughts, and when I speak them, they become hardened and they start to take form, and then I start to kind of solidify the bars of my own prison. Whereas if I focus on Baba, who I believe to be, I'll just call love or the light or whatever, God, that's more prismatic because he's this one light, but it can go out prismatically into all the situations in my life and affect everything, my relationships, all of them, work, kids, anything,
I
even
think you got a book in you, Ben. I think you got a book in you.
I do. I have one in there. I know I do.
That's a beautiful thing to talk about. Yeah. Well, and so I don't know if we want to go down the rabbit hole of suppression and repression. That's a big deal. Um, but we could if everybody wants to. I think that um, I believe that self control, is different than suppression and repression. I think they're cousins or sisters or brothers or something, but I think they're different.
Hmm. Well, that's why I say restraint too, right? Like
Yeah,
control it feels more like a restraint than a repression to me.
yeah,
Like the repression is almost like a pushing against, like a no, like a I'm gonna hit the mole, whack a mole on the head and knock it back down into the hole. Whereas like a restraint is like a strengthening, a re-strength almost. Like I'm allowing it to come up in me and allowing my um uh, through Baba, I allow, like, I'm trying to think what to describe it, but like I get bigger inside and stronger by holding space for that within me, and out of my compassion, which is Meher, Baba, the compassionate father. He helps me with that compassion for, like, when I got mad at my child, he told me, he has a real sweetheart, and he just told me that he felt bad now because I felt bad. And then I told him, well, I feel bad now that you feel bad. And I'm sitting here thinking to myself, I could hear myself talking. I'm like, I'm the adult. Okay. I have to like cut it off and not keep this cycle of guilt and shame and feeling bad about this going. And if I'm in the Baba zone, let's call it, then right when it happens, I'm like, yeah, okay, no big deal. Like it's just a object. It's
Yeah,
not
like
our
in,
love.
in Al-Anon, we call that how important is it?
Yeah. And it's really not. So,
So that's a
not
great phrase.
ultimately.
I was reminded when you were talking, Ben, if I may
Yeah.
respond, when I take my dogs for a walk at the garden, we have a beautiful garden right near here called Magnolia Garden. We go there almost every day. It's great trails through giant live oak trees and gardens. The dogs absolutely love it. But if they misbehave and they're trying to pull and go after something, like they try to go after this peacock that lives there, or they try to go after the cat that's the garden cat that lives there, or they try to chase a squirrel or whatever, I have the end of the leash, so I say, especially to my dog Rada, who listens to me more than Nala, who's my son's dog. I say, Rada, stop, and I yank on the leash to come back on the path with me and like stay centered. You know what I'm saying? And when I do that, I say to Baba, like, I wonder how often you have to do that with me, Baba, where I'm going off the path and you're yanking me back. It's like, come on, stay centered. And then what I'm feeling now, talking about it with you here, is if I can do that for myself rather than Baba having to do that to me, that's what I think control and restraint is about. It's like not having to have Baba get to the point where he does that for me and says, "Get back over here." Like how am I recentering myself? Does that make sense? How I'm talking about that? I
I
think
love
that's
that.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think it's a good way to think about it. Like, because in the quote, if we go back to the quote, you were contrasting the word control and the word restrain. And if you hear the quote, Baba uses both. Keep your mind quiet, steady, and firm. Do not submit to desires, but try to control them. One who cannot restrain his tongue cannot restrain his mind. One who cannot restrain his mind cannot restrain his action. One who cannot restrain his actions cannot restrain himself. And one who cannot restrain himself cannot attain his real infinite self. And it reminds me of another story where the word restraint is a great word because, like in the hospital, if somebody's in the hospital and they've had a surgery and they're somewhat delirious and coming out of anesthesia and they have stitches or something, people have tried to pull their stitches out or whatever because they're not thinking clearly. So they literally will restrain them in their hospital bed. But the purpose of restraining them is to help them and protect them from themselves at that point because they're a harm to themselves if they pull their stitches out after surgery. So the word restraint is an interesting word because it implies that if we're trying to restrain ourselves, it's almost like we're tying ourselves down. It's not that we don't have the feelings, like you said. You could have the thought and the feeling, like I want to kill that person, but you don't do it, right? You restrain your thoughts, you restrain your actions. There was an interview I saw at risk of getting a little dark here, but I'm going to go for it. There was an interview I saw where they interviewed a rapist in prison who had raped a child, which is like the worst of the worst, right? And they said to the guy, like, why did you do that? And the answer shocked me because the guy just looked straight at the camera and he's mic'd and everything. So it's all super clear. And he's sitting in prison. He says, well, I had the desire. So of course I had to do that. Like he totally justified that the desire meant he had to do it. And then if you read back to Baba's quote, don't submit to desires, but try to control them. I think that's exactly what Bob was talking about. The one who's not spiritually minded, the ego and the desire are like an invitation that they think they have to fulfill the desire. But the spiritually minded person sees the same situation and says, yeah, well, that's a terrible thing to do. There's no way I would ever do that. Right. So whatever the situation is, control, restraint, whatever you want to call it, it's like the spiritual effort, part of the effort, not the entire effort, but the effort that one makes to not live in the ego and the desires. Okay, I'm going to shut up and let somebody else talk. Mona came on. She's fully awake. She came on. Let's hear from Mona.
I think it's beautiful because, um, like so many of us are driven by our senses, and some people just live to, like eat, sleep, repeat, and like, but the difference between the animal and us is the consciousness. And if we can uh, have control over ourselves and our senses and live our true purpose and realize this, um, and be on the path, I think, then that's the way to go. Yeah, because it's very easy to be a slave of the senses.
That's
Yeah.
right. That's right. And I want to add something to what you're saying, Mona, because I love what you're saying. And Ben, I think you've probably heard this too, but I'll say it again. It's in Al Anon, we learned this phrase, progress, not perfection. The meaning of that is, I think it's beautiful, is not to expect perfection from oneself and others, but to try to make the effort to make progress in that area. And that eventually leads to perfection. But, um, perfection isn't required to be spiritual, it's the goal. You know what I mean?
I,
So I think that's
Baba
important.
says that too.
Yeah.
Just try, right?
Well, it depends on what he was talking about. But yeah, I mean, the whole thing, like in the surrender, you remember the surrender book? He said
Mm-hmm.
the entire spiritual path is nothing but a series of surrenders, culminating in the final surrender, which is your sense of feeling separate from God. So anything before that is really leading up to the separation, which is the real problem. And what are desires if not an attempt to fill the gap of feeling separate from God?
Exactly. And I like what you were saying, Mona, too, about this animal nature thing. And I was thinking about that part in the quote where he says your real infinite self, right? Well, why does he say that? Why does he
Yep.
use that word infinite there? Because uh when I get angry, I'm past my limits, right? And or maybe I have more poise in areas of my consciousness that I have more experience in. So if my son comes in 1,000 times and says, it's like Groundhog's Day, the movie, right? Where he keeps getting angry at first, and then he just realizes he has to surrender to that situation. And he knows the same things are going to, and the same things happen, but they don't affect him in the same way every time they happen. And so
Yep.
as we grow through our animal natures, right? If you think about the beginning or the earlier stages of the path before you hit the human form, kind of like all that area that the eyes don't see, there's all this unexperienced consciousness to experience. And oftentimes, I think in our earlier stages of experiencing that unexplored conscious area, if you will, uh, we sort of tend to have animal reactions in there at first, right? But the more experienced we become in those, and Baba helps to calibrate. Like, I don't think many people would understand Baba lovers like Baba tells me, like, try not to have sex with your wife, or he doesn't tell me that. I've read stories where he's telling people, like, say, hey, try to limit, like, it's good, go for celibacy if you can, But if you can't, if you, and then marriage is better, but don't just try to have sex all the time. That was kind of a big one for a man. It's like, yeah, I want to follow Baba. And by doing so, I've changed the way I feel about that. I don't act so needy and animalistic about it anymore.
Yeah, that doesn't that harken back to the beginning of this quote again, though? Keep your mind quiet, steady, and firm. Do not submit to desires, but try to control them. That sounds like it's a perfect example of that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so when Baba was explaining to one of the Mandali early on in India, I don't know if you've ever heard this story, but he asked the Mandali, the men Mandali, what is a man? And they all had their answers. He said, well, Baba said, the problem is a man is between. On the one side is all the animal impressions, all the heritage of being all these different creatures, right? Stone, metal, vegetable, worm, fish, bird, and animal, all those impressions. And that's in a man. And then he said on the other side you have the angels and the saints and the masters calling you up to a higher way of living, the spiritual way of living. So the man is kind of in between those two forces. The animal forces pulling down and the angelic and the saintly and the masters pulling up, and they feel that tension. Humans feel that tension. And I think that's a beautiful way to talk about it.
I love that, man. I'd love to read that story. What is that?
I'll find it for you.
Thank you. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. But it's like that, right? It's like that. We have an opportunity. Here's my experience. We have an opportunity daily, probably many times a day. Are we going to go towards the animalistic response to that, which might be fangs and claws and hissing and growling and barking? Or are we going to go towards the more spiritual, which might be defanged, declawed, maybe a few deep breaths of, um, okay, what's really important right now? And should I be silent? Should I try to use nonviolent communication? Should I walk away? Should I, whatever, right? It's
Love
tricky.
it.
It's tricky. It's tricky. Mona, more thoughts and feelings?
Yeah, this reminds me of, my mom follows a path, a spiritual path, and we've been going to satsang since I was born. I mean, probably been in a womb or something. So they say, like the five senses, they say that there are five things that, we should like stay away from. I'll say it in Hindi and then I'll say it in English. Kam, Krodh, Lo, Moh, Lobh, Ahankar. That is lust, anger, attachment, greed, and ego. Like the five senses, these are five things, it's better to stay away from. Though it's easy to say, and we all like, go through it in our own way and succumb to it. As you said, like either you can go downwards or you can go upwards, and it's a daily struggle. I totally like get that, because I've seen people who meditate every day, are on a spiritual path, but at times, due to circumstances, even they lose their cool, you know, and succumb to all of that, or more. And it's sad that we're not able to control our own senses, or our tongue, because a tongue can, the same tongue can be sweet like nectar or vicious, and
Yeah.
just takes a second between the two, and its effect and impact on the other can be, you know heaven or hell type. So
Yeah.
it's sometimes we don't realize the actions also impact others and how it does that.
So
Yeah.
beautiful. Beautiful. And then in response to what you're saying, Mona, looks like Daniel wrote to everybody and he said, from my experience, I feel like like Baba is talking about there, has to do with fully accepting some thought or feeling and then surrendering it to Baba. And it's from a place of equipoise, like a witnessing and mindfulness. There's a sense of love too and freedom there if I direct it to Baba. Suppression leads to pushing more things in unconscious and then tension because of it. Oh, and he has a question mark. Yeah, I mean, we could get into a whole psychological conversation about repression and suppression, but I'm not sure I want to do that here tonight. Um, but I like what you're saying, Daniel. That's great. So, one of the things I like to talk about when we say about the ego, and Ben, I think you and I have talked about this before, but um, the word ego is from Latin. Does everybody know what the word ego means in Latin? Is that a no, Ben? It's Latin for the word I, meaning myself. So it's literally I. So when Baba talks about ego, he he explains very clearly that it's the false limited I. And then he says what happens in self-realization is there's still I, but it's the unlimited real I. And the difference is the false limited I feels separate from God, and the unlimited real I experiences I am God. But the I is there, it's just unlimited. So the self becomes one with everything because it experiences being one with everything. And that's the difference instead of feeling separate from everything. I think that's fascinating. Am I the only one who thinks that's fascinating?
I'm actually fixing my children dinner right now, so I'm just listening and contemplating. That's really I don't know if I've heard that before. Um, it is, and yeah, I could listen to more of that. I'm not this real unlimited I and this personality of God. I think is difficult for me to fathom because I've come from a framework of an ego for so long, for probably
Well,
lifetimes and lifetimes.
can I reflect back to you something
Yeah,
about what you're
please.
saying? It's actually in the quote we've been reading at the end. Listen to this. And one who cannot restrain himself cannot attain his real infinite self. It's the same thing of what we're just talking about. It's the infinite real I.
Mhm.
You hear it?
Yeah, it's right there.
It's right there. It was hiding in plain sight, right? Because that message ends with infinite real self, which is the unlimited real I, which is I am God. So what
Yeah.
Baba said, which I thought was incredible, is somebody said to him, Baba, what is your experience? Somebody actually asked him that. And he said, that's a great question. He said, my experience is that in me, I feel free, but in you, I feel bound. So now I'm working to free myself in you.
Wow, I love that. Oh, man.
Yeah.
That's
Can
the
you
prism
repeat
and the
that?
prison, man.
Beautiful. Yeah. In me, I feel free. In you, I feel bound.
Yep.
And what's the next thing
And
of
now I'm
that?
working to free myself in you.
You.
I think maybe you just posted that or shared that with me. I've heard that recently, and I just love that, man.
That's great,
That's
right? It's great.
it's brilliant. Yeah, in limitation, I'm bound, and I'm working to free myself in that limitation. but also this infinite self, keeps on. In order to have absolute knowledge, you would have to know ignorance, and so God continues to
Yeah.
experience ignorance and have personal revelation.
Yeah. That's the
Through.
game. That's the game. And
Yeah.
Daniel wrote in the chat, because he's at work, he wrote darn self exclamation point. Right. So this is all like a tricky game of how do we get closer to Baba, right? It's a bit of a game, isn't it?
Yeah. It's awesome.
Yeah. Oh, Daniel's coming back. I see his video. He's on mute, though. Did you want to say something, Daniel? No. Okay. Still at work. Mona, did you have more?
No, but I think at the beginning, somewhere, when you read that first quote, what came to me was like what Gandhi had said, that, like thoughts become our words, and our words become actions, and actions become habit. That
Yep.
kind of like, just when you read that, it just popped up somewhere, and yeah,
That's
it's
right.
all.
That's all right. That's true.
And it really gives a lot of credence, what you just said, Mona, to Maya and the illusion that everything here is a thought that's built on a thought that came out of our mouth or came into our mind. And isn't it interesting? Baba talks about breaking his silence too, because we actually speak in so many ways other than with our mouth. Our mouth is probably 0.0035% of the way we speak. So we speak through our manifestations, through our poetry, through our music, through our art, through our relationships. And so everything here began as a thought. And if we think about the planes of consciousness, what's that final? We go through the mental plane, the final plane, the sixth up to the sixth plane, right?
Feelings are the end.
Yeah, it's like, and so that's the mind of God manifesting into the subtle, manifesting into the gross, as just, and so it really is just a bunch of thoughts.
Yeah, Baba said the last stage is feeling. Daniel said, so Baba is our real self, but finding him isn't through any sense of self, question mark. Well, it's a paradox, Daniel. Baba said that you have to forget yourself, right? That's the hardest part. You have to forget yourself. He said another way, he said it's the spiritual path is as if the mouth has to eat the entire body and then the mouth has to eat itself. But it can't. It's impossible. So what happens is the master's grace has to descend. The master has to have the grace descend upon the disciple to help with that last bit, because how can the mouth eat itself? He said
And
the
he
only
also
one who ever did it. There was only one who ever did it without help, and that was the first avatar. What are you going to say, Mona?
said that just love me. It's so simple. It's the simplest thing he's ever said. Like, just love me. That's it.
Yep. That's right. That's right.
Yeah. Um, one time uh, I was praying and I felt like I heard God say to me, uh, throw me out. And I didn't understand that. I thought, what do you mean throw you out? I mean, I'm here, I'm depending on you. Obey me. It said, throw me out. okay, if I really believe in this obedience to God, then I have to do what you say. And you're telling me to throw you out. So I throw you out. And then I heard God say, still here. And what I realized in that moment was that God was telling me, throw me out because you think you know who I am, and who you think I am is not who I am. But who you thought I was a moment ago before I commanded that you throw me out served you up until a point. And this was a big, profound realization for me that day, because I think Baba, in his infinite self, works that way, as appearing almost as a series of finite selves to my finite mind until I reach his infinitude.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, so like the Baba I think I know now is serving me through his love, but relating to me in a very, very personal way, because I'm seeing Baba in a different way than all of you are, and you're all seeing Baba in a different way than I am. But we're all loving Baba in the same way because it's love.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. It reminds me of a conversation I had with a monk. I used to go to this monastery to pray and be with Baba at this monastery. Oh, Daniel said that's really great. Thanks for sharing that. Um, and so I went to this monastery, and there was this uh, monk who was in charge of us, because most of the monks didn't want to have anything to do with the lay people. They just wanted to be monks. But one of them was in charge of the lay people. He was great. His name was Brother Albrecht. I always remember him. And he would say all these things to us. But I remember this one time we were talking about God and struggling together about it all. And it's very similar to what you were saying, Ben. And he looked at me and he said, well, we whittle God down to our own size, don't we?
Oh, I love it. You know, speaking of oh, I'd heard the thing you were sharing earlier about progress is the goalpost, perfection's the goalpost, progress is the way, is what we say in my recovery group that I go to.
Yeah.
But one other thing I'm reminded of now too is we have this thing called the set aside prayer. Have you ever heard that?
No.
Yeah, you could probably look it up. My hands are dirty right now, but it's very short. It's called the set aside prayer. It's very popular, and it says something to the effect of, God, help me to set aside everything I think I know about these steps, about myself, about my fellows, about this program, about you, and open me up or something for a new experience of these steps, my fellows, this program, myself, and you.
Nice.
Amen. Yeah.
Nice. That's beautiful.
To set aside what we think we know about God for a new revelation, a new dispensation of experiencing God. Yeah.
Yeah, beautiful. Beautiful.
Well, I needed this today.
Awesome. I'm so glad you came.
I'm so glad I'm here. Thank you for waking up, Mona, and thank you for being here, Daniel and Laurent, for hosting.
Yeah, yeah. This is spiritual companionship.
Did
I'm
you get
very
enough?
excited to be now.
Yeah.
It's good to see you, Mona. I haven't seen you in a while. Ben, we were in India together.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. And so Daniel was also in India, but Mona, you didn't meet Daniel, did you?
I don't think so.
That was a different trip.
Are you in Mehrabad?
No, I'm in Mumbai, but we
Oh,
met in Mehrabad.
I have yet to go there, and I really look forward to that day
We
when
got
it
to get you
comes.
over there, Ben. It's long overdue.
Yeah,
I
we have
think
to go
I don't
there
even
to
have a
meet.
passport at the moment. I need to get one of those first.
It'll happen.
Yep. I'm going to Myrtle Beach. That's my next stop.
That's real close to me. That's 2.5 hours from me.
I will definitely be seeing you when I make that trip.
Yeah.
And then I'm in Prague. I'm in Tulsa, Oklahoma, near Prague, and there's some very exciting things happening. I don't know. Do you know about what's happening here, Mona?
No. Can you tell us?
You want to tell them, Laurent?
No, go for it.
Okay, so Baba, something I thought about too. A lot of us refer to his car accident as the accident, and they call it the accident site. The other day, somebody called it the crash site. And I thought to myself, I think I like that better. It's a crash. It's not an accident. Baba totally knew what he was doing. Um, but anyway, Baba had a car crash, as you may know, here
Yeah.
in the States, right in the center of the country. Well, this year is pretty amazing. And there's this family that lives there called the Muka family, and one of their relatives is actually the guy who came out and pulled Baba and Mahara off the road and put their heads on pillows and helped get them to the hospital and everything. And anyway, that family, so they own the property there. Well, we used to go to the spot where the crash happened, and we would sit on the side of the road and pray to Baba, and we would do this on the accident anniversary and really on any event that we would all get together, because that's kind of the main attraction there in Prague. Well, the people who own the land right next to it, the spot, called Jane Montgomery, the caretaker of the Avatar Meher Baba Heartland Center in Prague, Oklahoma. The crash site is actually technically in between Meeker and Prague. It's out on this by this farm. And they called on Amirtithi to say they wanted to sell the property. And then they called again a second time on Baba's birthday. And then they called the third time to finalize it on the accident anniversary.
Yeah, can I pin on to
Please.
that thing? The phrase that she used when she spoke to Jane was, she said it would be a blessing for our family to make sure this land goes back to the Meher Baba family because we know how important it is to you. Can you imagine?
So we acquired that.
Wow.
We like the Heartland Memorial Initiative, I believe is if I'm speaking correctly, raised the money.
Yeah.
I have 10% on my phone. And I better go get a charger here. Yeah, they raised the money and they purchased the land, and now there is going to be a center built there of some kind.
Yep.
So that pilgrims can travel to where the Avatar and the purest soul in the universe spilled their blood and pay their respects.
That's exactly right.
That's amazing.
Truly.
Yeah.
It is amazing.
I wanted to say to you, Ben, I want to go to Myrtle Beach as well, and I don't have a passport.
Ah!
Oh, that's pretty funny.
We're on opposite ends of the yeah, let's get our passports. I've got to do it. I do have a very old passport. I don't know if it's still if it can be revived. It's very, very old. I mean,
they won't let you go into India unless there's 6 months left on your passport.
Yeah, it's time. I just need to start the process. And but what I think is amazing too is like when I first came to Meher Baba in 2014, which he just popped into my head, and well, it's not quite that simple. I saw his picture about 10 years before that, but then he just started bombarding, and all I could think about was Baba suddenly for some crazy reason. I couldn't figure it out. He was coming to me, I know now, but and trying to get my attention. And so I got a book, 2014. And actually another book that I got two books. One was The Awakener by Charles Haynes, and another one, because I was a marijuana addict, was a book called A Mirage Will Never Quench Your Thirst, which is actually written by Laurent, Rick Chapman, and help me with the other name.
Alan Cohen.
Alan Cohen. And Laurent's name was actually on the cover, and it's kind of funny because it's written in black and the cover is like this dark maroon, so I couldn't really ever read the author's name. So it was just kind of nice though, because it's just all the focus on Baba. But here's a book full of people talking about getting free from drugs and alcohol and things, and I carried that around in my pocket before I knew Laurent, and never really cared I didn't even know about the center at first, I don't think. And then I heard about the center, and I didn't really care about the center so much because I cared about my relationship with Baba, and I was still just getting centered in that, so to speak. And now this center is like such a wonderful thing. It's an hour from my house, and I'm near what I believe is soon to be a major. They're also possibly looking at getting the hospital there too, where he recovered in the hospital. But that's another thing. I don't know how much I'm supposed to talk about that.
That's
but
okay. It's a separate project.
yeah. So anyway, that's really neat how that's sprung up. And now also I've gotten a lot more embedded in the Baba community. I'm helping with a little some projects, and I've met Laurent, and I've met all these people over there in Asheville and Myrtle Beach, and it's just super exciting. I can feel Baba moving gracefully. I'm going to go to Myrtle Beach, and then eventually I'm going to make it over to Mehrabad, hopefully before it's too late to actually go into the samadhi. I think is it already too late to do that? Do I have to stand? Oh, okay, good.
No. But Baba said that time would come. He said you would have to bow at the threshold eventually.
Wow. They just got a couch at the center here in Prague, because the center is in Prague, at the doctor's house that had helped recover Baba and everything, and Meher and everyone. There's a couch there they brought from Myrtle Beach that Baba sat on. And you can still sit on it, which it's been reupholstered, but you can sit on the couch, which I think is super cool. There's also a copy of God Speaks there that's signed by Baba.
Yep. That's been there for a long time.
I think that's kind of the centerpiece, in my opinion, like the nice, the coolest thing they have there. I mean, it was given to the doctor. Oh, hey, I'm in a Baba meeting. Just tell her.
That's fine. Well, we're about to wrap up, and it's okay.
Oh, she's in Prague. Yeah. Sorry. Okay.
We're about to wrap up, so it's no worries. I think we've done our thing with this beautiful subject. Mona, I want to specifically thank you for waking up at 4:30 in the morning to join us. That's a big deal. And I pray that you can get back to sleep.
I am so grateful to be here. Thank you so much. I hope I can attend all your talks in future as well. It'll be amazing.
Thank you, sister. Baba knows that you're waking up early for him. Baba knows.
Thank you too, Daniel, for being here, and thank you, Laurent, and thank you, Baba Zoom. I just want to say, what a wonderful execution of Zoom. I mean, like the website and how they've put all that together, and the YouTube channel, and the fact that there's so much Baba activity in this one spot is so cool.
That's Angela Chen who does that.
Yeah. Thank you, Angela.
Yeah. Thank you, Angela. Jai Baba. Avatar, Meher Baba Ki Jai. Avatar, Meher Baba Ki Jai. Avatar, Meher Baba Ki Jai.
Jai. Love you all. Love you, Baba. Thank you.